welcome. You're watching Last Take on Money9, India's first multilingual platform for personal finance from TV9 News Network. I'm Sakshi, Batra, and on this show, we give you an entire recap of how the markets have performed during the day's trade. Also, we help you understand what really moved the markets today and the factors that will be key to watch out for in the week to follow as well. Let's quickly take a look at how the markets really shut shop. Remember that we had a gap up start following the positive global cues of the United States of America, and you can see the kind of indices movement that we had seen, record high levels for Dow Jones and for S&P 500 as well. But if you see, the picture has completely changed in the second half and towards the close of the session for the Indian markets. Now, what had opened up with 1% gain for the benchmark indices today, the Sensex and the Nifty also inched up higher, crossing the crucial support levels as well. And reaching even the resistance levels on the top as well. We had seen 51,000 level being reclaimed, and also the trading happening with about 500 points of gain in the early trade. But towards the close, you can see an entire opposite picture. 1% loss for the Sensex, 487 points gone there. For the Nifty also, if you see, the 15,000 level has been protected. That's the psychological level, and that's the good news. But the good news ends there. With 1% loss, we also saw 143 points of a cut for the Nifty 50. When you talk about the Sensex, remember that during the day, we've already seen from the high intraday high levels, the Sensex has lost 1,000 points as well. So we have seen a sharp, downtick, and that happened like around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, there have been multiple triggers that we will talk about as to what really led to the fall in the markets. If you look at the Nifty Bank Index, that's really lost a lot of points as well, underperforming the markets, 1.23% loss there, and it has come off way higher from the 36,000 levels that it had reclaimed during the day. It was trading well above that level as well. 35,496 as the closing point and the level for the Nifty Bank today. As far as the broader markets are concerned, the mid caps and the small caps. The mid cap lost about 0.5% towards close, but it was the small cap index that still managed to perform a little bit better and ended up in the green with a flattish to positive bias as far as the small cap index is concerned. Moving on to understand what kind of sectoral moves did we see. Remember that in the morning trade, we had seen all the indices were trading in the green, and now all the indices have actually ended in the red. So it was a broad base sell-off that we had seen in today's trading session. What was the pullback? And that you can actually see most of the banks lost in trade today. Financials also pulled the rally downwards. The auto index also lost 1.5% and more than that as well in today's trading session. So all of that put together really dragged the indices lower today. And it was a broad-based sell-off. You take any index, and sharp sell-off is being witnessed in pharma, in metals, in the realty index as well as the FMCG index. That has been an underperformer, but there was no one reason why the FMCG index or say the pharma index should have lost so much. So it was a broad-based sell-off that we had seen. No particular one trigger that has led to the fall in the markets today. And it's not just a sector move, it has been an all-across move downwards in today's trading session. Looking at the picture as far as the gainers and losers are concerned, yes, there have been a lot of gainers too. BPCL, IOC, Power Grid, JSW Steel and Titan. These names have been holding the fort as far as the Nifty 50 is concerned. Moving to the laggard space, there have been a whole lot of auto names like Bajaj Auto, down 3% in trade, Adani Port. Of course, the life insurance space has been underperforming throughout the day today. Hindalco also lost a lot of sheen in today's trading session, closing 2.5% lower in trade as well. Moving on to the factors that led to the market fall today, the sharp, crash that we had seen. Of course, the crude oil prices have been elevated, and that could be one reason that has ultimately hampered or dampened the sentiment in the markets, the rising bond yields. But of course, these factors are also somehow getting, accepted in the markets, that these are, of course, they're tracking. But there was no reason why the markets should have fallen towards the end, because the crude oil prices and rising US bond yields were high even in the beginning half of trade. Now, weak global cues is something that the markets really tracked. If you see, the European markets opened lower, and that could have dampened the sentiment further. The strength in the dollar index is also something that the markets have been disturbed about. And one more factor, which is domestically, is the factor of the rising COVID-19 cases and the incidences of lockdown in more parts of Maharashtra. So that is something definitely that the markets would be tracking as well, that has led to the fall today. Of course, we have not seen the FIIs also really participate, and we'll just have to wait and watch to find out what kind of data do we get in from there. If there has been a huge sell-off from the FIIs, that would have been a major trigger, but all that data will come out later in the evening. Now, from the IPO space, there had been some good news. Anupam Rasayan India IPO opened today, and it has received a good response from the retail investors. 88% is the subscription that we have seen it on so far on the day one. The company has fixed a price band of 553 to 555 rupees per share, and the IPO will now close on March 16. Most of the brokerage houses have given a subscribe rating to this IPO. However, some of them have also raised concerns about the aggressive pricing and the high valuation at this point in time as well. In case you are contemplating on whether you should go and subscribe to this IPO, you can definitely log on to money9.com to read all expert views and the brokerage house's recommendations also on Anupam Rasayan and all the other details that you would want to know. Now, the factors that will be key to watch in the markets will be tracking next week would be the macro data that is likely to come out this evening later at around 5:30 p.m. We'll get the inflation data and we'll get the IIP data, which will ultimately give more clarity on if there is an impact of the rising crude oil prices, rising bond yields on inflation. Then that is going to be something that the markets will be worried about. Then FII flows, as I said, will be very important that the markets will be looking at, and of course the bond yields and the crude oil prices as well going on from here. So these are the factors that the markets will be definitely tracking in the week to follow as well. So with that, we wrap up this edition for you, but a whole lot is coming up on the other side. So stay tuned with us on Money9.